Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys checking today's video out and spending some time with me today. We're going to have sort of a wide-ranging discussion. I sort of want to have a talk with you guys today about how things have changed in the sport of tournament fishing, not for the better, and how there's been some people that have basically just ruined it. They just ruined tournament fishing forever for everybody, and I want to get into that and really want to delve into the value of going back to a simpler time in fishing, whether it be recreational fishing or tournament fishing, because this has been coming up a lot, man, and it is just like, it's really sort of reached a precipice right now where I think everybody's just sort of fed up with it. So I've got some opinions I want to share with you guys, and obviously, be curious to get your guys' opinion as well. And I know, guys, I've been sounding really rough this week, man. I've had a sinus infection for about 3 weeks, and then I got the flu over Christmas. My whole family got sick, so I had this bad sinus infection that I still have on top of the flu that I just got over. So I just went to the urgent care today and got some antibiotics for it. But man, it's been a pretty rough time around the house here the last couple of weeks. Also, guys, just real quick before we get started, I just want to give everybody a big thank you for all the support you guys have shown the channel here. All you guys that have subscribed to the channel, become channel members, used all the links I put into the description. You guys are really the reason Intuitive Angling is on YouTube. So thank you very much if you're one of the people that have been supporting the channel like that. I really appreciate that. Okay, sort of want to delve into this from a couple different angles. I'm going to say right off the bat, we're going to get into this and we'll tack it from a couple different directions here. There's some people out there that have just ruined tournament fishing for everybody. It's like tournament fishing is so freaking screwed up right now in the United States. It is in the worst shape that it has ever been. I've been fishing tournaments since the late 1970s, and I've been started fishing professionally in the mid 1980s, and did it for 30 years. So I've been there, done that. I've seen the evolution of it. It is more screwed up right now than I have ever seen it in my entire life. And it's because of just inept management on the part of the tournament organizations. Greed, a big part of it is greed. But what has happened is we have taken the whole business of tournament bass fishing, which really was at the absolute best during the 80s and early 90s, when it was a simpler time, and we have just ruined it. It's been absolutely ruined because it's just gotten to the point where it has outgrown its ability to sustain itself, and as a result, the entire experience is diminished for everybody. There are too many tournaments. There are too many tournament anglers. There's too many fingers in the pie. The pie is not that big in terms of tournament fishing. So what I want to talk about here a little bit is how we need to return to a simpler time. Now, let me go back in time a little bit, and I'll sort of relate it to what we're experiencing right now. Back when tournament fishing was the best, there was two organizations. One of them was the Bassmasters, Bass Angler Sportsman Society, when it was ran by Ray Scott and people that actually knew what they were doing, unlike today. And there were 6 tournaments. That was it. There were 6 Bassmaster Invitational tournaments. And out of those tournaments, there was however many people that were in them, 200 or something people. The top 35 anglers at the end of the year went to the Bassmaster Classic. Simple. 6 tournaments, over and done with. Those guys went to the Classic, period. The other circuit was the Redman Tournament circuit that had the Redman Tournament Trail, the Redman All-American, which was a great organization that allowed tons of people to fish on a weekend level. So and there were some other very minor players in it, but those were the two main things. So you had the national circuit of the Bassmaster Tournament Trail, 6 tournaments, and then you had the Redman, Tournament Trail, which had a bunch of divisions all over the country. They had their little deal, and then the Bassmasters was the epitome of the sport. Bassmaster Classic, that's how you made a living. Super, super simple. Everybody knew where they stood. It was just the best time for fishing. You fast forward today, there are so many freaking tournament organizations with so many different, feeder systems off of that Nobody can keep up with it. It's like Bassmaster and MLF have got so much freaking going on that I can't even keep up with it. There's other AAA circuits, there's other circuits trying to compete with it. There are just tens of thousands of tournament anglers out there. And as a result, it's like it has lost the innocence and it has lost the magic that it had, 30 years ago. And it hasn't been for the better. It's like the sport of bass fishing, it's like it has grown to the point where it has started consuming itself. Now, I'm talking from somebody that has seen it and been there. A lot of the other guys that have been there as long as I have can say the same thing. The sport of bass fishing is not better now. It is in a much worse position than it was during the height of the simplicity back then. So the point is what can we do about it? It's like what can we do about it to get it back to that the simplicity that made it really, really special? Because it's not right now. It's like everything is so freaking complicated. It's like the price of everything is through the roof. Boats are over $100,000 for boats. It's like bass fishing is not bass fishing anymore. It's been relegated to video game fishing at the tournament level. Everything that made bass fishing great from the very purest foundational fundamental levels has been eroded away to the point where we see it right now. And it is more difficult than it ever has been to make a living in this sport. It's like there are so many tournament anglers out there, and there are so many tournaments that nobody is able to make a living at it like they were back then. 30 years ago, when there was a definitive definition of what a professional angler was. Professional anglers, if you fish the Bassmaster Tournament Trail and you qualified for the Bassmaster Classic, you were a professional angler. If you qualified for the Bassmaster Classic, it was very easy to get retained financial sponsorships from qualifying for that Classic. Anymore, it doesn't make any difference if you make the Classic. It doesn't make any difference if you win the Classic anymore, because there's just too much. There's too much of it. There's too many tournaments, too many tournament anglers, and nobody can stand out like they did before. It would be the same way. Just imagine right now if everybody watches the NFL. Let's say, for example, there were 6 or 7 different other professional football organizations within the United States trying to compete with the NFL. Imagine what that would look like. Instead of having 6 professional tournaments like we did in 1986 on the Bassmaster Tournament Trails and 15 NFL pro football games during the course of the season, now we have literally, 50, 60, 70 pro events a year. Imagine if there were that many football games, how it would water down the whole effect and reduce the credibility and the interest in professional football or baseball or basketball or golf or whatever it would be. So the greed of the people in positions of power within the bass fishing industry have directly put us in the problem we are now. It's nothing but greed. It's people trying to create more tournament trails, more this and that, and in the process they diminish what the sport really is. There's not a clear-cut definition of what a pro angler is. It's like nobody can tell me who or what is a professional angler like you could 30 years ago. There are simply too many circuits out there that all claim they're professional fishing circuits. So what is going to have to happen with this, which I don't see it happening, because as long as there's any type of money to be made in it, people are not going to make the right decisions, they're not going to do the right thing, is we have got to return to a level and a time where it's a simpler time in fishing. This is one sport. This is not like a technological race for medical advancements or arms race or something like this. Bass fishing is completely different. It's like technology has no part in it. It's like you can't advance something in bass fishing like you can in other sports, because when you start advancing from the basic premise of what fishing is, that's when you start taking away from it and diminishing, everything that's important within it. And the problem that we have right now is we have tournament organizations that influence this industry. And from everything that I can see, not every one of them, but the majority of the major tournament organizations in this country they are led by people that do not understand what I'm talking about. It's like everybody has seen it. You look on social media, everybody says the same thing. The leadership within tournament organizations right now is the poorest and the most inept it's ever been. It's very short-sighted, snap decisions that they always have to come back and redo because they goofed up or something. So we have got to start simplifying our sport and getting back to a simpler time. And the only way you do that is by cutting back on the tournament organizations. You've got to simplify that where it's like there is one organization that determines what is professional fishing and everything revolves around that. And that organization has got to be a nonprofit. It's like as long as you have a tournament organization like Bassmaster that is a for-profit organization, there is going to be an element within there that is screwed up. And we've seen it right now. It's like, can you imagine right now, guys, let's just imagine that Bassmaster was a nonprofit organization and they simplified and they streamlined everything where there was only 6 tournaments a year, just like the NFL has 15 or 16 games. There's 6 or whatever, 7 tournaments a year. There's no other circuits. This is it. The NFL doesn't have a bunch of other leagues and circuits and stuff around them. So it should be the same with fishing. Bassmaster has the Bassmaster Tournament Trail. You got 6 tournaments or whatever. Everybody goes out of that particular format into the Bassmaster Classic. There's none of this bullshit technology that allows people that don't have any experience to be able to come in and compete against people that have been in it for 30 years. All that should go out the window. Imagine right now. Let's just imagine. Let's say, okay, everybody knows how great of a quarterback Patrick Mahomes is. Let's imagine that somebody came up with a piece of technology that you could have something affixed to your arm, where it's like you could throw a 70-yard pass every single time into a spot that big around, with this piece of technology. So you get some 17-year-old high school senior that has this technology, and he can make the moves and do the same thing that Patrick Mahomes can with this piece of technology. That's in essence, that's what we have done in bass fishing. We have enabled people that don't have skills or talent to be able to go out and compete against people that do have legitimate skills and talent. And as a result, it has diminished the sport. The sport is not the same. It's not recognizable to the was back in the heyday. So overall, just looking at this whole thing, I don't really know what I'm trying to say here. I know what I'm trying to say, but I'm trying to put it in a context where people can understand it. The whole point of this is we are not in a good position right now, because just like in politics, when you have people in positions of power that are inept and that are put in positions of power that they're not qualified to be in, out of nepotism or whatever, same within the tournament organizations, you see the result of it. And that's why you have seen the tremendous amount of outrage and disrespect that the general public has against the major tournament organizations right now because of those decisions they've made. They've created this mess that we are in right now because of their greed and their apathy and their short-sightedness. So we need to return to 1986 when Ray Scott and Forrest Wood were in charge of this industry. You put 2 people like that have a pure, simple vision, that aren't motivated by this unbelievable, greed that we see now, and you saw how great the industry was. All you dudes out there that are my age and you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. You understand what the tournament world was like in 1986 when Ray Scott was in charge and when Forrest Wood was at the helm of Ranger Boats, and they worked together in correlation with that. And you understood the simplicity of just having the Redman tournament circuit and the Bassmaster circuit and how special the sport was then. And you look at it now, and that's why you guys you hear me, and a lot of people say that I'm angry and pissed off. I am. Because I see what the sport has turned into versus what it was before. And a lot of people that were not around before, they don't have anything to relate that to. So they can't, their minds can't comprehend what it was like, how special it was before it, turned into what it is now. So I don't know. Things don't look too bright, guys. Like I said, until you take money out of it, money screws everything up, man. It's like just like with people buying our elections, billionaires buying our elections, and how electronic companies can influence the policy making decisions within tournament organizations. Money corrupts. Money is evil. Money is the root of all evil, and we see it specifically in tournament angling right now. So I just go back to the same thing, guys. We need to go back to a simpler time. And like I said, I'm not some big anti-tech person when it comes to advancements in things that improve the human condition. Again, stuff like things we can do in our daily lives. But there's some things in life that technology has no place in. And bass fishing is one of them. Camping is another one. Hiking is another one. Any outdoor activity. When you try to put technology into fishing, hunting, camping, hiking, you diminish what that's about. It has no place within there. But you've got people in positions of power that are money grubbing, greedy, SOBs right now. And we've seen the result of that. So my point, guys, is go back to something simpler, resist technology, resist advancements in the areas of our special things that are close to us, like fishing and hunting. And if we can return to the way things were 30, 40, 50 years into the sport, that is what we can consider a victory and an advancement. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. We'll talk later.